Hello, this is Mish from Downtime Distractions with a first look review of Samphi. Now with our first look reviews, we define them differently than a full review by 3 caveats. And they are: gameplay time we put into the title is under 8 hours, that we have not completed or finished the title, and we still have room to gain more skills or knowledge across single or multiple facets of the title. So with that said and done, let's see what this game is all about. Okay, so this is Samphi, and as you can see, it's a 2D randomly generated survival RPG. So it's coming to Steam on early access on 18th of March at a cost of $4.99. It'll have a 10% discount on launch as well. So it's been developed by Greeny Game Studio. Now, interesting fact about Greeny Game Studio, it is just one guy running that studio, so a guy by the name of Dale. He's been working on this title for 4 years. So for one person to create a game by themselves is always impressive, but just the time and effort required to do that. Even if the title turns out negative, I still think you need to take your hat off to them because they've put a lot of dedication into the title. So the reason this title is being put on early access, the dev mentioned he really wants some feedback from the community to help with the right decisions to make this game really good. So probably going to be on for 6 to 12 months in early access. So currently the state it's coming out on early access, it's going to have a sandbox mode and a multiplayer mode in the not too distant future. But the goal is to really introduce a story mode, which is, I guess, he wants to get the polish of the game done before he introduces that story mode. With the multiplayer mode, so you're going to be able to host a server yourself and invite people in. I'm not sure of the amount of people you're going to be able to invite in and what the limitations are with that, but something to keep an eye on. Currently the dev is working on an in-game tutorial. At the moment we have a PDF document for a tutorial, which isn't the best. I mean, for me it was, I used it and it was fine because I've got dual screen so I could keep an eye on it whilst playing. But it's going to be annoying for a lot of people that don't have dual screens or that really want the interactive tutorial. So let me show you some of the, I guess, the elements of the gameplay and how the game really plays out with the crafting and the RPG elements. So let's jump in and have a look. Okay, so here we are. So I wanted to show you some basic stuff here. So we have a few things going on. So at the top here we have items which you can equip. So you can cycle through your numbers and choose different things. So I can have an axe, I can have a spade, I can put a bed down if I really want to, so I could place that there. There we go. Have a sleep if I want. And a few other things going on here as well. So usual basic kind of stuff going on. So with the axe you can chop down some trees, get the resources from that. So there we go, some wood, some apples. You get things like you can harvest the bushes and get the berries from there, so get some berries, and obviously you can dig down. So the digging down seems a little clunky, but it works. It seems that the mouse input is I don't know, kind of questionable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. Could do with a bit of tweaking on that one. You also notice I have this dog following me around. You can change to the dog if you want to. I don't know really the purpose or why you'd want to, but I'm sure there's something there at some point that will be gained from that. But anyway, jump on the fire. Okay, so back to my person. Feeding him. As you can see here, you got a few things. So you got your health. That's how much food you want. And that's how happy you are, and it's your level. The mood is not working, I believe, at the moment, but this other stuff is. So as you dig down, you can actually, if you dig a rock, you gain experience from that. There will be more ways to gain experience in the future, but at the moment that's the only way. So that if you want to level up, that's what you need to do. And as you can see, my food's slowly going down, so I can feed him by grabbing an apple and shoving it in his face. Eat the apple. There we go. So that's how you feed and keep him healthy. Now, while I'm saying leveling up, the point to leveling up is you unlock the skills. So that is done by pressing K, and you can see here there's a couple different skill trees. You have farming and crafting and fighting. Not fleshed out yet, but you can see the idea that he's going towards. So obviously you kind of choose what you want to concentrate on and go that direction. Okay, so obviously the main part to any game like this is
probably the crafting and what you can create. So this is one of the crafting menus. So you get here by pressing the toggle backpack, and as you can see, it's a backpack, but it's also where you can craft some items. You can craft a lot more at the crafting table, but at the moment I'll just show you this one. So the way to craft is you grab your item, say we'll get some sticks, and there we go. So we can already craft some ladders from just those sticks. But you add a few more things, so add some stones, and it kind of starts to increase. So we can make a fire, a hammer, or sharpen stones. And obviously the same, you add some sharpened stones in there, and you can get arrows. So they're very, very typical in there with that building, the crafting system there. So let me show you the way the map is generated, or the world is generated. Then I'll just show you kind of what I've created, and just a couple other items which you're going to run across here and there. So when I'm saying how it's generated is, as you can see here, I've got to the end of the map, and that's this piece, you could call it. So when the levels are procedurally generated, it generates a certain amount of pieces. So to move to the next piece, if you will, you just hold down E, and then it loads up, and you go to the next area. At the moment, the limitation is 5 pieces, but developer mentioned in the future I think he wants more, and I mean 5 pieces isn't really enough. There's not a lot of area to play with, but you know, this is early access, of course. So what else do we have? We have as I say, you've got the kind of the harvesting way, and you can actually plant things as well. So I can plant some seeds to make a little farming area. So I've selected my seeds, and I can just right click and put them in, and they'll need to be watered as well as time goes on. So you need to go back to this area and water them and check back in, and eventually they'll grow corn, so then you can obviously use that corn for something else. And there's fishing as well, which is interesting. So you can catch some fish and cook it on your fire. So, you know, there's lots of different elements going on with this title. So it would be good to get more depth across the board to really build on it. So this is the area I made. So you got the little door there, fire, and your crafting table, and the basic blocks. So once again, I mean, with all of this, it's very basic, but you can see where the direction he's going, and it would be very good to, you know, be able to get different colors involved with this, different types of stuff. Because, you know, it's the same as all these kind of crafting side-scrolling games. The world's your oyster with what you want to build. And so the last thing I just want to show you is the little combat system we have. So as you can see over here, that's your current item you've got equipped, but you also have a weapon slot. So if I press X, I can equip my bow, and I've made some arrows, which they're in my inventory. So once they're in your inventory, you can fire them. So as you can see, you know, it's simple, very simple, but it's enough to be able to destroy some wildlife and then pick up what they drop. So I'd really like to see this built on a lot with other weapons, and also maybe enemies to kill, even though it did mention there were enemies in early access, but I didn't see anything. But yeah, so that's something else, another way to gather resources just by that little combat system there. It's quite fun, but as I say, very simplistic. Okay, so it's a good look at the I guess some of the basics there with the combat, the fishing, the crafting, and the skills, and how the world segments between each other. So let's kind of summarize on graphics, audio, and gameplay. So graphically, as you can see, it's very typical of a 2D survival RPG type of game. It doesn't look bad, but it's nothing amazing. It's definitely got a charm to it. But if you're not into that graphic style, it might not be for you. For me, it's okay. It's functional for me. I don't mind it. So let's move on to audio. Audio is a little lackluster. It's adequate. The in-game music didn't function. The menu music worked, and that was fine. But the in-game music didn't work. And the sound of the assets is very basic. Once again, it's functional. But, you know, this is early access. That could all change. It could get a bit of an upgrade. Okay, so let's talk about the gameplay, which is really the core to any title, especially these types, because graphically, as you can see, graphically and audio, that's pretty weak. But the gameplay, I enjoyed my time with it. I think there's a definite charm to the gameplay, and there's some fun in the farming, cooking, fishing, and the crafting. You know, it's a learning experience like all these games are, and if these
components, if the crafting had a lot of depth and the fishing, and there was more RPG elements, it would be really fun. But the things at the moment, there's a real paucity of that depth. So after a few hours, it started to get a bit repetitive. But with the sandbox mode, it's more about, for me, building your base how you want it. So you can spend a lot of time tweaking that down. And as we must remember, this is early access. So a lot of stuff should hopefully be added in the future. So I want to mention the comparison with Terraria. Now, if you look at the Steam page forums for this title, I'll link that below. The dev actually raised this point. I guess he's been working on this for 4 years, and he's heard that comment, this is just a Terraria copy, so much that he made this massive blurb about it. Which is good as well, because it really kind of clarifies where he's coming from and his idea. So he was a big fan of Terraria, and he just wanted to make his own spin on it with his own ideas. And to me, that's a positive thing. It's obviously negative if you're copying someone's code or you're copying the assets. That's not a good thing. But to gain inspiration to make your own title from another title, that's what everybody does. There are very few original concepts coming out for games these days. So most of them are inspired from other stuff. Most of them are a mix match of other titles as well. But yeah, so I think the inspiration from Terraria is perfectly valid with this. As long as it has originality that he's put into it and his original ideas and an independent, an independence away from Terraria. But I don't think there's any harm in taking some inspiration from another title like that. Okay, so being early access, this is the time for the suggestions and feedback. So I've got a couple items which I think would benefit the title. One would be with the farming, give the sheep and pigs that are around the place the ability to eat your crops if you don't protect them with a fence. That would be one thing which would add a layer for me. And another one would be finding other AI around. So, you find a little hut with an AI in it that could be friendly, or they could see you and attack you, just to get that combat a bit more as well. And the same thing, so maybe if you leave your doors open at night, you have AI kind of sneak in and try and take your stuff. Just once again, just to kind of add a bit of randomness to the title. And probably another one will be cave systems. I'd like to see when you start digging down, you find a cave and it has something in it. A couple of enemies or something like that. That was the thing, there wasn't really any enemies at the current point. I'm sure that's coming, but that would be something as well. I don't know what the enemies would be, if it's going to be wildlife or if it's going to be bad AI or whatever. So yeah, that would be the suggestions that I would make to start with. And of course, bug fixing. That's probably the most important one, because there's quite a few little bugs here and there which are quite annoying. Quite a few times I had a couple of crashes. But yeah, early access is early access, right? Okay, so the ultimate question, is this title worth picking up? It really depends if you're into these types of games. If you really like Terraria and you want something which is along the same line as Terraria, but in its infancy, and something which is going to be a fresh spin on it, so this is probably going to be interesting for you. Admittedly, there's only a couple hours in it at the moment. The sandbox mode, for me, 2 or 3 hours of just in sandbox mode, it's going to get a bit boring, but some people would love it. I know some people will spend hours and hours and hours in a sandbox mode just making their home, making defenses and stuff like that. So it's really a personal preference on that. But the price for me is good. I think this is the right price for an indie title with only a few hours worth of content that has great potential. Any more than the kind of $5, and I think you're kind of pushing it really. So as I say, if you're not into these types of titles, maybe wait and see how it goes, how it pans out with the multiplayer and the story mode. But if you're really into it, it might be one you want to pick up and try out now and sink some time into it and give that feedback as well. And then you could become a part of the good community that's growing here. So I'll leave it here. Please give me your feedback on the title and the video that I've made. Give me a like if you liked it. Subscribe, as it really helps us out.
And also, I'll put a link to the Facebook page below. If you could check that out and give us a like as well, that would be really good. And I'll see you next time.